So what happens after a kingdom just tears itself apart? You know, after all the riots, the revenge, the complete breakdown of everything? Well, the story we're diving into today gives us this incredible parable about how a society can actually be rebuilt. And not with executions or a bunch of new laws, but with a radical and honestly a deeply uncomfortable idea about what justice really is.
So right away, the story hits us with this puzzle. You've got the new king, Evan, and he's just captured Diesel, the advisor who completely ruined the kingdom and, murdered his parents. The crowd is screaming for blood, you can just imagine it, but Evan's first act as king isn't an execution. No, it's something way stranger and, as we'll see, way more powerful.
So instead of just, off with his head, the king delivers this verdict that's designed to set a totally new tone for the entire kingdom. One that basically forces everyone to stop looking for scapegoats and start looking inward.
And get this, the punishment is brutal for sure, but it is not about revenge. Diesel is chained up right in the middle of town, forced to eat rotten food, sleep in the cold, but the king's order is crystal clear. When you look at him, you're not just looking at a traitor. You are looking at a reflection of the darkness that exists inside every single one of us.
What's really remarkable is what happens over time. I mean, at first, he's just an object of scorn. People throw garbage at him, they curse him, but as the years go by, he starts to speak. He starts warning people about how easily anger can just grab the steering wheel of your life, how that unresolved hurt always comes back but sharper. He literally transforms from this villain into this reluctant, broken sage. His chains actually rust away, but he chooses to stay. He becomes a permanent fixture of the kingdom's conscience. It's wild.
But here's the thing, the mirror was just step one. That forced people to see the problem. Step two was giving them the tools to actually face what that mirror was showing them inside themselves. The king introduces this really core concept, the shadow self. He basically argues that all the chaos, the whole nightmare, it wasn't caused by a few bad guys. It was caused by something we all carry inside. It's that part of us that's built from our fear, our resentment, our rage. He tells his people that the real enemy isn't just one man chained to a post. It's that whisper in your own head, the one pushing you to hurt someone else.
And he breaks it down into these really concrete steps. First, just pay attention to your own thoughts. Then, catch yourself in those little lies you tell to make yourself feel justified. Third, stop fueling the fire. Don't feed it with grudges or plans for revenge. And then there's this last crucial step. Ask for a kind of wisdom, a light that doesn't come from fear, to burn through those shadows. He's basically teaching his entire kingdom a form of collective emotional and spiritual hygiene.
And you know what happens when you create this kind of environment, this new philosophy, this public admission that, hey, everyone is flawed? It creates a startlingly safe space for the truth to come out. And boy, does it lead to a cascade of absolutely shocking public confessions.
And the very first confession, wow, it comes from the most shocking person you could possibly imagine. Not some random rioter, but Rev, the captain of the guard, the one man whose entire job was to keep order, admits that he was the one who lit the first match.
And his reasons? Man, they are just heartbreakingly human. He talks about feeling invisible for 2 decades like, and this is a direct quote, a ghost with armor on. He was just burning inside with his frustration, convinced that the system would never, ever listen to peaceful protest. So, he set fires. He stirred people up. He let his own unresolved hurt and anger become a weapon against the very people he was supposed to protect.
And then, right after the captain's bombshell confession, an ordinary villager steps forward and says the exact same words. It's this stunning moment that just shows you how widespread this inner turmoil really was. This shadow wasn't just in the halls of power, it was in every single home.
So when you put their stories side by side, you see the exact same pattern, just played out on different scales. Rev felt this systemic neglect, this big picture frustration, and he acted out of resentment. The villager, on the other hand, he faced a really personal injustice, a corrupt merchant who enslaved his kids, and he acted out of pure desperation. But look at the common thread. Both men felt powerless. They both tried to follow the rules and got burned. So when the laws vanished, they let their shadows take over and went looking for their own kind of twisted justice.
Okay, so all these truths are now out in the open. You've got an arsonist and a murderer who have just confessed in the town square. The whole kingdom is holding its breath. How is this new king, who has already shown such a strange approach to justice, going to respond to this?
And the king's verdict just brilliantly puts his whole philosophy into action. This justice is entirely restorative, not retributive. It's not about an eye for an eye. So, the murderer's children, they aren't punished. They're given the corrupt merchant's business and told to share the profits with the poor. And the arsonists, their punishment is to become teachers, to travel to other kingdoms and share their story, warning them so they don't make the same mistakes.
And this really brings us to the absolute heart of the story, doesn't it? After a whole society breaks down, what actually heals a community? Is it punishing the guilty to satisfy that primal need for vengeance? Or is it finding a way to restore balance and actually learn something from the catastrophe?
And then the king delivers his final, jaw-dropping verdict. His reason for this crazy, radical forgiveness, well, it's the most shocking confession of them all. He doesn't say they're innocent. He includes himself in their guilt.
And that's it. That's the whole takeaway right there. The king's power to heal his broken kingdom, it doesn't come from his crown or some kind of moral superiority. It comes from his vulnerability. By admitting he's no better than the criminals standing in front of him, he just dismantles the entire hierarchy of blame. He creates a new foundation where everyone can start rebuilding together, from this place of shared, flawed humanity.
And so this story leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. That maybe the great battles for justice, for peace, for a better world, maybe they aren't just fought on battlefields or in courtrooms, but in the quiet and often very difficult territory of our own hearts.